In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boy BlockchainCrusader here. We're back for another TA Thursday, which has morphed into around the charts, right? So we've got TA10, we got CVO Crypto, Magic Internet Money. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Excited for the show.
Thanks for having us back, man.
No worries, man. It's always a pleasure having you guys on. So, guys, if everybody doesn't know, we are 2 days away from our free NFT mint Danger Close Alpha. So if you don't know about that, join the Discord. The link is down below. 2 days away, free mint. We're going to be having a Twitter space tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time for more details. But let's see, right? There's a lot of things that have been happening this week. We had, the Fed meeting. Bitcoin's been ripping, Ethereum's been ripping. Let's take a quick little look at the markets here real quick, and then we'll get into the questions of what is happening. Why is all these things, ripping right now? Thought we were in a bear market. What's going on? So, as you guys can see here, we're back over the $1 trillion market cap. Right? Let me refresh, make sure we're still over $1 trillion. Yes, we are. We're up 4% on the total market cap. Bitcoin up 4% in the day. Ethereum up 6%. It's been ripping this week so far. And, we got the other altcoins here and there making small moves. Polygon making some really nice moves up to 93%, and massive moves for Polygon. So markets are doing pretty good, right? Nice little rip. Maybe I don't think a lot of people were expecting this massive bounce back. So the rumor is that we've bottomed, right? We kind of have that 200 EMA. I was watching that, we kind of wicked down to it. We touched it and we bounced off. Usually in the past, we have dropped below it, right? But we always come back. But this time we actually bounced off. So are we seeing signs of a bottom here? And what are your guys' thoughts? Are we closer to a bottom? Is this the bottom? Or, or is there still good possibility of lower price action? And anyone can take this question first.
I'm going to start first because I feel like I am, these two guys are going to come out here and blow me out of the water. So I'm going to start with the first one in, and then I'll, they can follow me up. No, I've been talking about this a lot over on the Crypto Jeb channel with Coffee and Crypto. Here's the thing that people need to remember. Before we even look at the charts, you can find an expert to tell you just about anything you want to hear. So you can find a person with a lot of credentials who has a lot of experience who tells you the bottom is in. In the same boat, you can find an expert who has a lot of experience and knows what they're talking about who says it's not in. The truth of the matter, people need to remember that nobody knows either the date or the exact number of the bottom, whether it's already been in or whether we're going to see the bottom come in down the road. There's still a lot at play, and I don't think it's a done deal either. I don't even know, if the market has fully decided, because what we just saw happen with the Fed, some people, and I'm in this boat, I think that that's actually very bullish short term, and we can jump on charts later and explain, but just even logistically, with that kind of, even though we had 75 basis points, which was expected, the remarks that Powell used actually were pretty dovish in the longevity of all the different takes he's given. Those were actually pretty dovish. When he said the ending of the year, we're going to have a 350 on the interest rate, the 3.5, and we're currently sitting at 250 with 3 meetings left. That means within 3 meetings, a total of 100 basis points. That is actually very, very bullish for Bitcoin. What it's not bullish for is the US dollar and the economy. So the question that we have to face here is, can Bitcoin escape the economic woes and split itself off from traditional markets, in which case the bottom is in? Or are we pushing this economic crisis down the road and we're going to deal with it later and let Bitcoin crash down the road later, whether it's, later this fall or maybe even pushing in 2023? That's what we still have to kind of look at. And the other thing I'm going to say, last thing before I let these guys talk, is I've seen people come out, and I really respect every single person's take. And I really respect when someone says, hey, nobody knows, but I'm starting to change my mind. I'm starting to think the bottom was already in. I'm seeing certain analysts come out and saying 100% certain the bottom is in, nowhere but up from here. And I'm like, that doesn't sit well with me. I don't think that that's a safe thing to do. So is the bottom in? Nobody knows. But honestly, there's a couple different reasons. We'll jump into it later. I think that there's going to be a prolonged period of upwards and sideways movement that's going to make everyone continue down that FOMO road of, hey, bottom's in, don't worry about it. And then we're going to get our heart broken down the road. Whether that's this fall or in 2023, I still have this inkling that's going to happen later on.
So what are you guys' thoughts on that? That's a lot of information right there. That was a great take, dude. That's a great way to think about how things are happening. Those are really good points too. That we could have a nice rally pump and people automatically jump back on the bag. We're like, hey, all-time highs, baby, here we come, and then bam, we get slammed with the brakes and we go right back down into the devil's basement. So CVO, magic internet money. What are you guys thinking?
My thoughts really haven't changed much. When I first came on here, I said, if we're going to see those doomsday numbers to like 12, 10K, they will come in Q4 more than likely at the end of the year. That's not just from a policy standpoint, but you can only stretch a rubber band so far, before it has to revert back to the average or the mean. So we were looking for bottoming price action between June 20th to July 14th. We got what we were looking for. The question is, will the markets continue to rally? I think they do through the summer. That doesn't mean like extreme rallies where we're talking like we're going to 50K or anything. But a back test of some old range support in the 32.9 region even is not out of the question by any means. So for me, I don't really know if the bottom's in or not. My gut says no. But as a trader, I'll tell you, when we got down to 17.5, you have to take the perspective that is the best price that you've had to buy Bitcoin since early 2020. And that's the best value you were given. So if you didn't at least take advantage of it at support, you can only be kicking yourself in that instance. You have to look at that and say, this is an opportunity. Does it mean go all in? No, that's never the answer almost. That's really, really not. So did I buy some Bitcoin there for the long term? Absolutely. I also took some medium and short term positions because you really can't sell there. You can only look for opportunities and strength if it's going to occur, and it's what we got. So as a trader, I don't really care if the bottom's in or not. I'm going to trade it either way and just make sure that I'm on the right side of it. I don't have to know. Like, that's the beauty of trading, is I don't have to know what's going to happen in 3 months or 6 months. I just have to make sure that when I'm given an opportunity to make a decision with my money, that I make a good one. And I don't put myself out there too far, I guess, where I can be hurt. So that would be what I'm looking at it as.
CVO, you got anything to add on to that? So I know you and Magic, you guys work together.
Yeah, I mean, we share a lot of the same views in that aspect. And, for me, I do foresee, September, October. I think personally that's probably when we'll find out whether we, already bottomed or come close to it again, or we'll see it, kind of come to fruition. Other than that, the idea that, for weeks and weeks on end at this point, I think everybody's been eyeballing that, no volume from 24 to 30K or the straight drop down. And, there's nothing but, upside between there and blah, 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 blah. And, whether or not everybody, anticipates that or not, we've ran it up and back down 4 times already. That's at least shook X amount of people in and out of the market the last, 2 months. And eventually we're going to probably run it back towards that, 28, 30K, whatever. Maybe we get that 32.9. And regardless, even if everybody's got that as their target to sell short term or whatever the case is, everybody anticipates it's going back down. If we run it up another 20, 30% on Bitcoin, you're going to see 100, 150% moves out of altcoins. I think everybody in the market will be extremely bullish, and will, the bottom will be in, in everybody's opinion, only because the price action is going to be persuading them of that. While we're down at 18 and 19K, it's super simple to just kind of agree with, we'll drop another 20% from here. Or, even at the time when you're sitting at those levels and you think, it could run up to 29 and then come back down to 11 or whatever the case is, everybody is all on board with that until the price action changes, right? And then, we talk about this all the time. It's the sentiment thing is it's all about the price action, right? Like what will change everybody's opinion very quickly is the 100%. Price. We jump up to those regions, and you really need to have a plan in place or figure out what you want to do, and vice versa. Just like Magic said, I mean, if you weren't taking advantage of 17, and you probably didn't get 17,000. Most people probably didn't get the opportunity there. It was there for several hours, maybe on a Saturday, right? So, but 19K, we spent a lot of time there, right? 19, 20, you probably had several days, maybe a couple of weeks of that region. And even in the short term, if we run it back, I mean, that's a really big opportunity. And if you're DCAing for your long-term bag, obviously that was a good opportunity. And maybe 23, 24K is a good opportunity as well. So it just depends on what you're doing. Short-term trades are obviously completely different monster, but as far as the long-term bags, and, for me, what Magic and I do as a team here is that, he really heavily focuses on Bitcoin. And then I'm really, analyzing heavily the altcoins. So, we kind of pair the two to kind of like have a good, judge on, a pulse on the market, so to speak. And as Bitcoin was coming into these, massive lows, Every single altcoin was also coming into major high time frame, range supports technically, and all these altcoins have like 100% plus upside, which at this point, a lot of them are already coming through to pushing through those levels. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, it's I think we got a couple of months where we're going to see at least some not just straight down. Even if we do go sideways in this region or something, but it's going to offer a lot of opportunity with the altcoins, in my opinion, as well. A lot more upside in the altcoins, obviously, than we'll get in Bitcoin. I don't know if there's a noise you guys can hear. Is that on my end, or is it like a?
Yeah, I was gonna say something. It sounds like somebody's kicking something around or something. I don't know. But guys, if you haven't smashed the likes, smash the likes for these guys. These guys are bringing you guys amazing information, right? So smash the likes. Follow these guys if you're not following them on YouTube, Twitter, and so I got a lot of questions about altcoins, and we're gonna move into that pretty soon. But before we move into altcoins, right? Let's see what do you guys got in the charts for Bitcoin on what you guys talking about right now, right? Some people are visual learners. We've said a lot of stuff about Bitcoin bottom, possibly hitting 32,000, maybe coming down. What are you guys seeing that supports either the fact that we're not at a bottom, right? This is just a relief rally and we can come back down, or maybe there is a short to midterm bottom here before we see any type of movement back down. And like I said before, maybe TA Tim, the one you take that first.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to jump on. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second, and I'll get going here. Yeah, really interesting stuff. There's some macro stuff that I've been looking at with. I was telling guys before the show with bullish RSI divergence. Those of you who watch ATB, there was an interesting conversation. Strong bullish RSI divergence, though, is what we do not have. But I'll save that one for maybe later. We get that way. Short-term stuff, what I'm looking at, and this is, I think, something we've talked about for a while now. I think we discussed this when I was on here last time with Kagan, and this was on. I can't remember who else was on with us. I think the guy from Token Metrics. But Bitcoin rallied up, and we've done significant here within the last couple candles. The first thing, let's start right here, and woe people's fears about a good crash and the strong technical. Sorry, I'm at home and my pup wants to come play me. I don't know if that kicking sound was him chewing on his toy. I took it away from him. Anyway, so what we've been looking at now for a couple of months was this bear flag opportunity, and this flag that's been playing out, this ascending channel with these nice little flat levels of support resistance, had been playing up pretty strong. We broke through it, kind of was a false breakout, ended up falling back down. And I told our people over at Crypto Jeb, I told them on Coffee and Crypto, hey man, and if we can't hold this, if we break, there's still a chance, as long as this flag had gotten, I think there's still a chance that could qualify as a bear flag and come down to that $13,000 price that a lot of people are anticipating. This most recent rally where we were kind of in a falling wedge, we broke out downside, now we broke back up through it, and then wrestling with that ascending level of resistance, we broke through with a small increase in volume. You just see down here, volume slight increase, we broke through. Officially, I no longer am going to look at this bear flag and say it can play out. If we go to 13,000, that's fine. It's going to be on a completely different merit than this shorter time frame bear flag that we started back here in June. So right now, where I'm looking going forward, I told you guys, I'm not ready to say that the bottom absolutely is in. And even if the 17.5 bottom is in, I'm not ready to say we won't revisit at least levels close to that. But for right now, I do think due to elements in the market and in the economy, I think there's a chance that we rally upwards. And the first level I'm looking at is this little green box right here, which is since if I go back to June, this is a golden pocket area, taking our Fibonacci retracement, going to the top, this little last peak right here, coming to the bottom of 17.6. And you'll notice right there, that pocket, and that's sitting right between 25.4 and about 25.8. So that's the first zone that I'm looking at as we start to continue to break through and we set these higher levels. I'm watching that zone very carefully. And the reason I'm watching that is because that golden pocket is a significant a level. But if we can break through it using our VPVR, you're going to notice we don't really, if we can break through strong that level right there, the next level we're looking at is 28,000 to potentially even getting up to 30,000 before we start to have a lot of resistance come back into play. And that's why I think in this short time frame, I think there's a good argument to say that we really could rally all the way up to 30K and not be able yet to still say, oh, the bottom was absolutely in. I even think there's a small argument to be made with all of the bullish things that are happening and the fact that we're not going to get another report from the Fed until September. And even that, like I talked to you guys about earlier, where there's not a lot of pressure at the moment for them to get really hawkish. In fact, already right now, we're 8 weeks away, but CPM futures predictions already are predicting with a 90% chance that we're going to see 50 basis point rate hike here in September. That's bullish. Could we potentially even start jumping up? And I don't need to use my Fibonacci on this one anymore. Could we potentially jump up to this next band in the VPVR closer to 38,000, which is what JP Morgan called here a couple of weeks ago, saying that Bitcoin easily could get back to that before we fell down to 75. That's the next zone. I'm still in the boat, just so you guys know. Even if we can hurdle this, we might stop for a second at the golden pocket, rally, started wrestling with this zone for a little bit, maybe even come back down to golden pocket. But I would not be surprised if we see a price go towards that 38, maybe even 40K on Bitcoin, and it's still not you're still not able to say with certainty that we won't retest the $20,000 level, because I think what's going to happen is we're going to kind of go up and down in a zone. And I think right now, which where we are right now, between 20 and then 25, and then up to 30 is a good zone. We could pop it, get above that level, and then crash later down the road when the Fed actually says, all right, we kicked this can long enough. We actually have to fix the dying dollar, getting more power back to the dollar, in which case crypto or Bitcoin specifically could drop. What I'm hoping to avoid that, this would avoid that, is if the market matures to a level where people say, okay, I can't trust the dollar anymore. I got to go ahead and move some money over into Bitcoin. We have some certainty with regulation. So regulational clarity comes into play, and maybe we can prevent going all the way back down, and we only have to come back down to around 30K, maybe that 28, 25K. But there's just still so much that could play in the market to change all of this. But for right now, those are the levels I'm keeping my eyes on. And again, I'm telling you, even if it's 40K, it's going to be hard, but I'm still going to hold out. That does not mean with absolute certainty that we won't go back down and touch that 20K or lower level.
But you're saying there's a chance.
There's always a chance. Yep.
So, back to getting your money. You're the Bitcoin expert in the leading crypto group. What are you seeing in the Bitcoin chart? Are you seeing something similar to TA Tim, or are you seeing something completely different?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we're all going to get similar targets, just we're going to use different methods. Last week, if you guys watched the show, if you remember, I said we'd go back to the previous week open at 20,779, shored that up to 20,738 on the drop. So we actually nailed that pretty nicely. Now what you're looking for is you really need to see this breaking. Oh, I've got it on my other computer here. Let's take a look. $24,470. That will get you into the second leg of a single print and probably push you up to, I would say, even past 25.2 and 26,505. If you were looking at this from a structural standpoint, though, and I'll pull this up for you because this is stuff that I just kind of do in my spare time, but it's worth bringing up here. If we just start looking at this in terms of structure, right? So this was our weekly support we came down to. If you were to look at this in terms of what kind of pattern was at play, you could argue that you had a deep crab here. What the importance of seeing this is going to be is starting to note where do things start to look different on the chart. So you're immediately just looking for the pivot points, right? So that's all you're looking to do is to pinpoint exactly where these pivot points were created. And if you were to do that, you'd find some interesting levels. But this would be the area of interest. Main reason being is if you're really looking for this to be an absolutely bullish event where it's like, when is the point of no return? You could argue right here. This would get you back into the upper echelon that anytime we're above this level, at a minimum, we go to 60K. You can see this is the road to all-time highs almost. This is right here just straddling it, but you need to recover this ground and make a push up. If you can't do that, and that's all the way up at 39.5. So like I said, this rally can get going quite heavily. From there, you could very easily chalk this up to a larger time frame and then start saying, is this a giant channel? You can toss it in the log scale on the weekly chart, and you could really just do something like this. I'd use these pretty frequently, right? But you would essentially do this, and we're looking for a channel, so we're going to use inside. And nope, I need more data. Give me just a second. I'm going to go back to this one, and we'll find our BCD on this one. I ran into this last night when we were doing the live stream as well. There we go. There's what we're looking for. So what you're looking at is essentially projecting the lows as a channel. And if you were to do so, you can see that you've come into your lows. So even if you were to pump all the way to 28K and back up into this region, you're still below the second half of this channel, which you have to break back above in order to excel into the next part of it. That's part of understanding projecting price with the fork. So to me, I'm looking at this just like I did last week, that if we can break through this region, which you can see I've got an alert set for it, I'm looking to run it up to right around this like 28 to 29K level. And then just kind of gauge price from there, because at the end of the day, you're looking at something like this, or you could say this is your low, right, from entering the range. So at a bare minimum, 28,007, 2650 has to be recovered. If you can recover that, then you're looking at what, 32,903, and then you're starting to use these pivot points we just talked about, and then you've got a pretty large one in front of you. And at that point, you're looking all the way up to like 39.5. So you get above 32,903, the door really opens up to more than a bounce. But until that happens, you have to look at this all as just, you're going to have rallies even in a bear market. So enjoy them while you can. Doesn't mean sell all your Bitcoin when you get to these resistances, things like that. Just maybe make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because the odds of this being the low and getting a V-shaped recovery, in my opinion, isn't really likely. Those don't occur that often. So there's a pretty good chance that all these people that did get the buy down here, they're all going to get a nice scare, and we're probably going to come back down and make them sweat it out, even if this is the low, right? So I imagine we'll come back and retest the 20K to 19K region potentially. And that to me is still an opportunity given the circumstances we're in right now. If it starts occurring later in the year and it's like November and we're coming down pretty hard, it's all about how you approach the area. Then I'm going to look at that as, hey, do I really want to be sticking my neck out again for this, or do I want to maybe be a little more patient this time and see if we get a bullish reaction?
So
goes through.
Do you think 19 will happen before 24? Or do you think 24 is more likely to happen right now?
24 is way more likely to happen. You're on a bullish upwards trajectory. You're actually trading above the range. I think we tapped 24 today. I think even if we re-entered the range from here, it's not really the most bearish thing. It'd be one of those things where you got to take it level by level. At that point, you're looking right back down to like 21,200, 21,160. Actually, that's the TPO point of control for time. So even if you reverse from here, you can't just jump straight to the conclusion that you're going to go all the way back down to 19K or lower. But at the same time, you won't catch me holding positions and sweating it. I'm not going to let it run back and take all those gains away from me. I'll just wait for the next opportunity after I take those and try to re-enter the market on my own terms. That'd be the best way I would describe it. So hopefully that made sense, because it's kind of all over the place.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, and with that being said, right, we know that if Bitcoin runs, the altcoins are going to run. So CVO, now's your turn. Now's your time to shine, right? Where do we see ETH going, right? If Bitcoin is hitting this 24, possible 28, what are we seeing for ETH? I know Nick is sweating at home right now, thinking, I hope this thing pumps, because he's sweating it out there, right? His bags are mainly ETH. So give the guy some hope. Are we gonna see above 2K ETH sometime during these rallies, or that's still way far away from Ethereum?
If we get I just shared my screen here, right? So, and I'm just showing this portion right here, but from where we are right now, right? So if we just pushed higher and ran it up to $31,000, let's just say, that'd be a 30% move out of Bitcoin. And generally, Bitcoin and ETH tend to move similar, if anything. Obviously there's more times that ETH will, kind of move a little bit more than that. And then altcoins as a whole generally go double of, the way Bitcoin will move. So with that being said, let's just throw 30% on Ethereum for where it's currently at, right? And I'll kind of go over this little range I'm looking at right now, but let's say 30% pushes us up to $2,300.18, right? I would imagine that if we run it up with Bitcoin to those regions that, we're all kind of targeting over the next coming weeks, days, whatever, I think we're going to finally run it to the high of this quarterly range that I've been looking at with ETH, which is how I've also managed to, outline all the altcoins we've been looking at over the last few months, with the range lows coming in right at, between June 14th and June 19th, depending on what you were looking at. I was looking at two different areas here. So this is now, what we've graduated to is this overall range here. But if you, look back over the last few videos we've gone through, and pretty much all throughout, the last couple of months in our trading group, we were really focusing on this previous range here. So this grayed out area right here was an area of the chart that we came back into. This is from Q1 of last year. So this is our point of control, this white line coming in from Q1 last year. Back in this region, right, we came down. It was like $3,600, I think, is when we identified the massive bearish divergence, took it down. This was our next range below us. We were targeting that point of control, and then ultimately the range low. Never closed the daily below that. Did wick below it on that Saturday, I think, was when everything kind of took the hit. But from there, this was that region. I mean, you know, when the fear was high, you know, you still had to be able to put on some risk if you, you know, had that plan in play or had an idea of where we were on the chart at the time, right? So for me, you know, this was the region we were looking for, right? We were in this little structural area, similar to how Bitcoin was kind of bouncing around between 19 and 21. Ethereum was mirroring the same price action. You kind of had the same price action across the board. And then about, what was it, like a week and a half ago, yeah, Ethereum kind of led the charge, kind of broke out, retested the 2017 all-time high, back tested this monthly key level. At the time, it was untapped, so this was a major target we were looking at. And then ultimately, we were looking at this range high. So this was our major resistance, and you can see how it acted along the way here. Put up some little bearish divergence in this region. I was expecting us to actually come back and possibly retest this area, this like 1200 region, back test this little range area. We didn't get it, came back down, basically just plowed through it. So now we were outside of that range, similar to how we are with Bitcoin as well. For me, I'm looking up to this 1850. To me, I think just wouldn't make sense to leave it left at this point. You know, we might get a small retracement right now back to the range high around that 1640 region. But ultimately, I think 1850 is next on the chopping block, which is this untapped quarterly key level here. So this is a high time frame average of price that we will more than likely come back and visit. And then after that, like I said, now we graduated back into our overall range where essentially we've got this high volume node coming in right here. You got this, you know, you could look at this area as an overall range as well. That you're pretty much probably coming into the range low, right? So you got your low coming in right there as well. So I mean, there's a lot of resistance here in the short term, but yeah, I definitely think if we're going to push it up with Bitcoin, this region right here, $2,400 for ETH, I would be paying cautious attention to the market at that region. And like I said, that's the same thing with saying that Bitcoin's going to be, you know, Bitcoin would have to be probably up in that 28, 27, at least at the golden pocket, things of that nature. And everybody's going to be extremely bullish. And like I said, everybody's got a plan until they don't. And when the price action gets really hot like that, and if we start pushing up, you know, you're going to see, without even touching on the low, let's just say you bought on these three, you know, dips, right, pullbacks right here, you know, just for Ethereum alone, that's going to be 140% move to the upside, right? Pretty big, and 173 overall if we do make it to that region. So an overall pullback is going to be likely if we do make it to that point. Once again, not just saying we're going straight up. I would imagine we're going to at least see 1850, and then we'll see how things progress from there. But at this point, 2400 is not off the table. And my opinion would be something like this is that, you know, until September, we really do run a big chance of running it up. Say Bitcoin gets rejected at 28 to 32 in that region. And then all these altcoins just basically give exactly what Keegan said, right? Give everything back up. So just be cautious around those regions. This is not where I'd be looking to buy, obviously. Maybe you're not looking to buy at this point as well. You just had a pretty big pump. So it really comes down to, you know, you really would have already had to be positioning yourself to some degree or just acknowledging the risk at this point because things have pumped quite a way, right? So we'll take a look at a couple other altcoins here in a second too, because like Uniswap was another one we've been eyeballing for quite a while. Matic, you got Quant. I mean, just running the game.
So before we move on, to the altcoins, one last question about ETH is if we do hit that top 2400, top of the range, what are the chances, right? I know you kind of mentioned it coming back down, but what are the chances that we see a sub 1K ETH again? How likely is that by the end of this year or whatever time frame is that you're looking at? Because I want to make Nick sweat a little bit when he goes to sleep tonight, thinking about that sub 1 ETH.
I mean, I think it's still possible, man. Like I said, I still see this idea here has not changed at all. I've really, you know, been on the idea here, and you know, when we talked about the you know, taking a look at how like NASDAQ did back in like 2000 and 2002, super example. Not that we have to play it out like that at all, but you know, the NASDAQ basically the equivalent to where Bitcoin is. It just ran it to 30K, back down to 20, up to 26, back to 22. You know, if it was equivalent to that region, and it just ranged around, right, for it was actually a couple of years in that regard. But if we do that for a few months, I mean, there's definitely a case to be made. I mean, if we come back into this region and my dog's going crazy too. Give up this $1,200 point of control here. You really you got to look down to this 880 once again. And then after that, it's probably 700. Either way, yes, it's still possible. To answer your question, I would still say, yeah, unless we really
saying there's a chance. So Tim,
Yeah.
what altcoin are you looking at besides Ethereum that whether you're extremely bullish on or extremely bearish? Your pick.
Yeah.
For you to highlight any altcoin that you're seriously taking a good look at now with some good.
Before I give that answer, real quick on ETH, even from so you got TA, you got technical analysis, and then you got your fundamentals, and then you got kind of the middle, the baby of the two, the on-chain metrics. So I'm not I'm not the one that creates on-chain charts. I'm going to preface that. So this is me relying on other people's information. But I was talking with one of our guys that we work with a lot, Kelly Kellum, who's doing a lot of on-chain stuff. He's actually created a whole course on our Club DeFi course where we teach it. We're teaching on-chain metrics. And if you're looking at Ethereum, I think one of the reasons why Ethereum actually has been outpacing the rest of the market is, let's just back up a little bit, and you could look at a chart to do it. We don't need to because people know this. Ethereum dropped at a faster rate than Bitcoin and Cardano. And right now, I still hold to, and I'm willing for someone to say, Tim, I disagree, but I still think, going back to last year, the three most popular coins you're going to hear people talk about is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. It's kind of like this. They've been weaving this web. They've been like, what do you call it? Braiding. They've been braiding this web. Well, one of them will take lead and lead the market, and the other two will follow, and the rest of the space will follow. And Ethereum was the one that was kind of dipping the fastest. But if you're looking at on-chain metrics, so this is where you're kind of piecing stuff together. So you're looking at things like, what kind of wallets are still in the space, which ones are active, which ones are not active. And you're looking at all those different metrics. When you piece them all together, when you're looking for short-term holders versus long-term holders, or strong hands versus weak hands, Ethereum at the bottom had the least amount of weak hands still in the space. And they were the ones most primed and ready for a rally. So I do think that, some weak hands have come back into the space. But just in case anyone's wondering, Ethereum on the on-chain side of those top three altcoins was the one fundamentally from the on-chain metric, when you're looking at strong hands versus weak hands, which is a great indication of bottoms and tops and everything else, and when markets are moved, it was sitting in the best spot and right in time for that big announcement to come out with ETH 2.0 officially having a date that looks like it's tangible. Like they keep giving us dates and they push it down the road, but this one feels different. And maybe someone said that before, so take that with a grain of salt. But I just wanted to preface that there are, even on the on-chain side, there's a lot of things screaming that Ethereum is on a special little run. This isn't a fluke. So Nick, there you go. There's your hopium for the night.
There it is.
As far as altcoins, so I was actually talking with somebody about this the other day. I am just now getting a little more comfortable with the concept of starting to DCA and branch out again. So I was spread out. I probably had I'm not crazy. I say I'm spread out. You guys are going to laugh at this. I probably had 10 different coins. I probably had holdings in 10 different coins. But for me, that was spread out. I don't want to have to focus on too much stuff at a time. But as we started to pull back, I would say back when Bitcoin started approaching about 32, and I was probably late. So I'm going to learn from this. But I started to say, I don't want to be spread out this far. So around when Bitcoin was back at 32, when we were kind of in that range, I started consolidating into those big three, though I call those my big three. Bitcoin is king. I think Ethereum's king of altcoins, and I think Cardano and the team they have is just special. I'm just now starting to be like, all right, I feel comfortable going and branching back out. And the reason I told someone was because obviously when we get a bull market back, altcoins are going to outpace Bitcoin. And guess what? This time they're going to massively outpace Ethereum. The problem is, though, during a bear market, they're going to outpace on the way down as well. It's just going to happen. Bitcoin and Ethereum are so big now that the volatility, they're still, compared to the stock market, amazing volatility. But you're not going to find as much volatility and as much upside in those big two as you're going to find in the lower altcoins. And I'm starting right now to start branch back out and pick back up my DCAing strategy and buy these low levels. I was going to say, Cardano's one of them, but I'm not going to go with the obvious answer, and I'm not going to go with it's kind of a boring answer. I think at this point, I love Cardano, but Matic is one. And I know someone, people got on to me for me saying, hey, I do have my concerns for Matic, but I'm continuing to do my research. My concerns, of course, are because of its ties to Ethereum. And with ETH 2.0 coming out, that does a little shift some, hey, how significant is Matic? How significant is Polygon? But in my research, and this probably people are going to be relieved of this, why I'm saying it, I'm learning more and more about the speeds. I'm learning more about the tech. And as much as ETH 2.0 will help ETH itself, it will come nowhere close to the speed and transaction level of Matic and Polygon. And especially with that new Disney deal, I think that Matic can go ahead and hold on. I had my question marks, and I'm not saying I'm 100% guaranteeing that it can just continue to thrive with ETH 2.0 launching out. But I do think that the spots are there for Matic to continue to be special, even though ETH is trying to solve its scalability itself. I think there's still a place for Matic and Polygon. So that's one of the ones I'm looking at.
So you think Matic can hold its price level and even possibly cross $1 sometime soon? Because it's had a massive pump in the recent couple of weeks.
Yes, and that pump's going to come from, of course, because it is the scalability issue to Ethereum, and then they had that Disney news. But here's the other thing: Disney just launched that. Disney as a company is not, I don't think, doing that well, but it's still a big company, and the fact that they chose Polygon to build that's going to be huge. I mean, when you're starting to talk about buying products and gaming, I'm not a gamer, so I'm a little bit out of my element with this one. I have to admit it, but I understand and appreciate those who are gamers. And when you're talking about what they're going to be using this for, this to me is what sounds like. I remember when Solana came out pumping and kind of compared what they were working on to that movie Ready Player One, right? They kind of pumped us with that hype. Saying we're going to build up, and then we saw what they built, and it was like, okay, you're not there yet. Well, Disney wants to create that. Lots of other companies do as well. But what Disney's working on is they really want to create that situation, and they chose Polygon to do so. So they know something. And it was like what, a couple days later, a week later, that we got the date for ETH 2.0. I don't think that was news to Disney. Disney, I think, knows things that we don't know, and they still chose Polygon. They still like that product. And for those reasons, I do think it can make it. So for anyone out there who months ago when I said I'm concerned about Matic, I'm changing my opinion, and it's one of the ones I'm watching very heavily. There's a couple others that I think, just from when I'm looking at the charts and I'm following the communities I'm interested in. But I
so before you jump onto another altcoin, another quick question about Matic. What would be like a what would be a lower price point, a good entry point into Matic right now after this massive pump? If it does come down a bit, that you would consider a good entry point.
So yeah, I have not gone and looked at it too much to find my entry point. What I'm doing is DCAing. I'm starting to DCA because I've been still DCAing into Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano. Yeah. Those are the three I said I'll continue to go there. What I'm now expanding is I'm going to add Matic into that list. Some good levels that I'm looking at here, just even really quickly. Let me, I guess, share my chart. And I don't want to take too long because I want to hear these guys' answers as well. There we go. Let's see here. The first thing I'm going to do when I'm looking at these levels, which I don't even need these ones anymore. I did have these levels drawn up here I don't remember where I created those from. I did TA on Polygon, I guess, a little bit ago. I had grabbed that. That's my problem. I had grabbed the freaking thing. I want to get rid of these. Let me actually start with Fibonacci. Let me go back to a point over here, and let's just see where I'm playing with right now with these levels. Those levels are probably, that's where I drew those blue lines from. The 0.5 and then the golden pocket. We're kind of bouncing right there. If we can break through this next level, this is what I was looking at, kind of matching back to the volume profile. I'm sure that's when I pulled it up. That box right there is the next level. If we can break through this with confidence, we could come back up here. So, if I'm saying there's a good place, let's watch it. Maybe if next couple of days are bearish in the crypto market, we come back down around 75 cents. But there's actually a better chance because, again, I think that Bitcoin and Ethereum, the others, I think they're going to be able to rally up and get their boost going. So I think what you're kind of looking at the moment is I want to hear if these two guys disagree, because I'm not going deep TA on this real quick. I'm just looking at these levels to make this call. I think we can break through. This is a good level right now, and then the next places we're looking at potentially is on $1.21 to maybe even jumping up to 136 region to 161. That's long time frame. That's way out there. Let me see. Yeah, but honestly, I think those could be, if we get a good pump to the market, Polygon could do that. Matic could do that. Those are levels that are significant right now. I'm gonna check one more thing. Looking at my RSI, little bit high, but here's what I think could happen with the RSI that I'm looking at. At the moment, you can make the argument, we're saying bearish RSI divergence right here, but I think this point is actually really significant. I think that I could watch the price of Matic climb here a little bit and get into those regions I was talking about around, $1.17, maybe even get up to this yellow mark. But the RSI on the daily chart doesn't get that high, and then we have a bearish RSI divergence set up, and then we come back down. And that beach, for anyone who is confused on the definitions, a strong bearish RSI divergence, not a weak or anything else. I guess I need to start clarifying that statement from here on out. So again, that was not crazy in depth. That's more like I'm looking at it very macro. These guys probably have a lot more in-depth TA on it, but hopefully that answer sufficed.
Yeah, dude, that was great. CVO, the altcoin expert from Leading Crypto, what you got?
Oddly enough, I mean, the levels are pretty similar to that in a sense. Just a different tactic, of course. But yeah, I mean, but like the way that we've been anticipating them are a lot different. So that's the only thing, right? Is that like, at this point you have to start looking there, but we've already been looking for these regions. So one thing with Matic is, you're coming up. Maybe you want to call this a double top. Obviously, we can get a little pullback from here. But, if this pushes up, you might not get that pullback. But the one that I was looking for would be back into this golden pocket region. There's a daily level. There's a point of control, and that is all around like 60, let's just call it 60 to 61 cents. Matic ended up doing exactly what Quant did, exactly what Bitcoin just pretty much did, and exactly what Ethereum is probably going to end up doing here in a second. When you broke out of this range, came back and, bullish back test, retest, however you want to look at it, and it took off, right? So at this point, you really want to see how this goes. Once again, it's not the area where I'd be buying in at the moment. Definitely would not be my first thing I'd be chasing at all. Do want to point out that from the low to the high, this is a 208% rally. So across the rest of the market, maybe there's something better that you'd want to consider jumping into that hasn't rallied 200%. But if you're already holding Matic, the areas that I'm looking for to the upside, one of which, we got a high time frame horizontal coming in at like $1.12, which essentially lines up with Tim's $1.15, I think he said. Then there's an untapped monthly key level at 126, and then I got a quarterly point of control up there like 152. So that would be where I'd be looking for Matic in the short term. But if we come back down, you re-enter this 75 cents, so lose 75 cents, looking down to like 60. 60 has been my golden area. If we do come back to there, that's where I try to pick some up. If you weren't already in a position on Matic.
And what's the likelihood that you enter that range and you cycle the whole range from top to bottom?
It's pretty likely. I mean, at that point, but you really want to see how you react at the point of control. But losing the point of control,
is that like a 50-50 or like
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say 50-50, I guess, in a sense. It's a
49-51.
I would say 75% chance you're going to run it down to this point of control, and then 50-50 shot that I guess you'd run the whole range. But the invalidation for that would be really simple, and it would just be if you lose this 60 cents, right? So you start closing below 60 cents. That's where you want to cut ties, because then at that point you're probably going to run it back down. So, but yeah, I mean that would be the area I'd be looking for. It's interesting to note because even if you do, essentially double top right here, right? That's what it'd be considered. What were we just looking at? You were looking at the RSI. I mean, so even if you push it up, I mean, you got exaggerated, divergence at the moment. So either way, not looking amazing. Even if you do push up, you're still going to push that. You're going to be printing that regardless. But you could run it up to this, 3-month level or this untap before you even get that pullback. But right now, that's where I'm still looking at would be 60 cents to be, loading up if you want to just die hard, get in a Matic.
And did you have any other altcoin that you were really looking at, CVO?
Just want to go over Quant and Uni, right? So there's nothing better than when the altcoin or whatever you're looking at respects your squiggle, right? Just kidding. But yeah, so Quant we've talked about on this channel a lot, I think. This is one we've talked about for quite a while. But this is a really, really great example of basically a range rotation, right? You get this really ugly drawing I just did. But you get this run up from the low, you got your main target up here, you got a golden pocket pullback, you got your run up to the high, you break out of the range, you basically bull pennant, consolidate above, however you want to look at it. You back test the range high, and then right above us, you got another range, right? So this was actually a really tight little area just above us here. Broke into that, bam, main target, got your point of control, came back out of this, actually back tested this now fully, giving this enough juice. So I'm looking for 140. On Quant here in the near term. Once again, probably not what I would jump into if I'm just looking for something, unless you're DCAing for long term. This is something that's already up 160%. Once again, So if you're in from the lower levels, we've been talking about these regions and presenting these since in the last couple of weeks and months now in the trading group. So a lot of the people in our group have probably already picked these up. So these would be the next major targets coming into, and one of those being 140, 139-ish. And I like to bring these up because, even without leverage and all these and that, like, these altcoins are offering up a ton of just spot trading upside, right? So like Tim was saying earlier, right, if you're just, mid to long-term holding, I mean, most people can't just actively trade, day in and day out, just for time-wise, right? So even just looking for just decent areas to consider getting into, you got to really be willing to put on the risk there, though, because it's always going to be a scary day when we come down, you start seeing drops like this, because even this day, or this move right here was a 30% pullback, and you're probably thinking it's going to keep going lower and lower and lower. But even from where we are now, that's a 52% move up to this region. That's a pretty good return on anything. And then the other one I just wanted to touch on was Uniswap, just because I know that one kind of went wild today. I mean, the whole market pretty much went wild, but boom. So Uni was nice because I drew up this inverse head and shoulders just to kind of correlate the measured move of where this would land. If anybody's looking at solely just like that. But more than anything, I was targeting this box right here. This was an untapped monthly key level, point of control, weekly level, and golden pocket. So that's exactly where we came up to. Once again, even just on a spot move here, it took a few weeks, but, you're talking about a 56% move. Really, really nice. Don't lose any sleep type of move there. But for this, once again, something, wouldn't be probably chasing this at the moment, but if you were already in that, that's a 200% gainer also over the last few weeks. So, I mean, pretty decent moves here across the altcoins, right? And if just kind of back testing a little bit into the idea of, running Bitcoin up for a bit or for a few weeks, and these altcoins continue higher, do you realize that at that point, if we just run from these lows for a couple of weeks straight, the entire market's going to see probably an average of 200%, gains from low to high. So it's just going to be a really deep, it's just always an important time to be cautious, of course. But, when we start pushing up to like $2,400 ETH, to me is going to be a trigger across the board. If we get to that region, I'm going to be, cautiously approaching that, because it's not to say that we can't just run right through that and keep going, but that's when you want to kind of pay attention to see what's going on with everything else, especially Bitcoin at the moment.
Yeah, dude, I'm personally hoping, and I've been saying it before, for lower prices, right? I'm hoping for those devil basement level prices. I want to buy in at, sub 1K ETH. I want to buy, some $12,000, $13,000 Bitcoin. And, what is Matic going to be, right? Like 30 cents, 20 cents. What is Quant going to be? $40 or less at those levels, possibly even lower. So I'm hoping that we do see lower levels. I'm okay with a relief rally, but I really am hoping for lower. I am in no hurry for new all-time highs at all. I definitely want to see some new all-time lows.
Yeah, the thing that I always we do have the Dalton, don't we today, T-Bone? The thing that I personally I bring up from experience, like my time in 2018, right? And this is what I'm trying to hammer home, and whether or not it's going to be correct or not, we don't know yet, right? We don't know how these are going to play out. We don't know if we are just going to run it back. I doubt it, right? It's a 50-50 split on where everybody is, right? A lot of people are either like bottoms in, we're going straight up, and that will increase as we, increase in price over the next few weeks if we continue to run up. But, I just think back to when I was holding XRP, man. XRP for life, right? 2018, man, and 2017 or 2018, 2019. Like, had I literally just sold it out every time it pumped 100% and looked to buy it again lower, like, 7-8 times, however many it was over those 2 years, it literally pumped between the same region and back. And just to not forget that, even back in the day, like before we had our full move to the low, whatever, and whether or not the low is in or not, I still, we can definitely get a 70% move out of Bitcoin and then pull it right back, right? Like that's not out of the question. And that's only going to put us up to not making a new high, a higher high. There's no market structure that's going to be changed at that point. Like all it is that we will have stopped going straight down, which is what we did over the course of like 8 months, basically. So.
Yeah, for a short period of time. And then straight back down. So any final thoughts, Magic, TA, Tim, CVO, what are your final thoughts on, your market, on up, down, sideways? What are you telling the people at home right now?
I would say
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say right now, if you've waited till now to buy, this is not the time to be sticking your neck out unless you have a pretty long time horizon. I would wait for a pullback. What I was telling people to do, and this comes back to even June when we were talking about the potential of getting a low. Anything for us under 20,688.50 was kind of like, that's the bottom half of the range. That's when things are kind of discounted. So you want to be looking at that and saying, okay, if I'm below this level, you divide up your range, then I shouldn't really be looking for shorts unless, you're day trading, in which case you're in and out. It doesn't really matter. But if you're looking to buy and hold for a long term, you don't want to be buying up at $22,500 and $24,000, hoping it goes to 28K. You want to be buying on a pullback, kind of like we discussed in the last stream, where I said, the people that are late to the move aren't usually rewarded, and that we more realistically would be eyeing somewhere around 20,800, give or take. And had a person been patient enough and waited, you had to wait like 4 or 5 days, which can be an eternity. If you stick to that plan, you got a discount and now you're in profit, and you can do with that what you want. So if you are looking for entry, which I think this is a good time to accumulate for, over the summer here, take advantage of some of this stuff, maybe even if you miss out on the move up, is it really worth risking up here at the highs? Like, it's kind of like CBO said earlier, you just got to caution the wind up here that this is a really risky area to be putting your neck out. You have to take advantage of these prices when they're down closer to the value area lows, where it's a little more undervalued. That's the safest place to buy, and it can kind of be the scariest place to buy simultaneously. So you have to make a plan and you have to stick to it. Like, if you guys have to write it down, I'm a big journaler. I actually write my journal by hand. So every day I do like 15 minutes. I debrief. I write down exactly what I would like to do and what the optimal outcome would be. And if I don't get it, I just don't put my money in the market. And that's.
Are you using like a feather and ink, or
typewriter?
I use a mechanical pencil, believe it or not, because I'm one of those guys who do race. But yeah, so make a plan, guys. Write it down. Stick to your plan. And if your plan doesn't work out, you have something in writing that you can go back and review and say, man, I was wrong about this. Why was I wrong? And you guys can learn something from it and take advantage of the next scenario that comes your way, the next opportunity, because this market is endless opportunities. That's all I'll say about that. Never feel like you've missed the boat, because there's another opportunity right around the corner. There really is.
Tim?
There's a famous story from Dr. Seuss, and it's called The Sneetches. And in this story, you got the ones with stars on their chest and the ones that don't have the stars on their chest. And in this, they're obviously the ones that don't have the stars, they get jealous, so they want to get the stars on their chest. And then as soon as that happens, it switches. I feel like that's something that's very similar happening in the crypto space, kind of going on what Kagan was just talking about right there. People wait for these pumps to happen and significant pumps happen, and then they want to get into the space. And guess what happens? You end up buying a top, and then you have a stars on bars, is what the book says, and then you have to go get it to start off. But by the time you actually get the courage to go ahead and sell, we just reached a new bottom. And it is chaotic, and you're going to have to get years of experience and lots of opportunities of failure to really learn how to keep yourself out of those situations. But until that place, I'm going to plagiarize. The crypto space and education is a great place to plagiarize. We're not being graded, so our college professors can't kick us out. Plagiarize other people's tactics and other people's words of advice. I got to do a great interview today with Mark Yusko. Brilliant man. And he talked about this. This is a strategy that I'm like, man, I already kind of have this, but I'm going to make sure I solidify this in my brain that this is my strategy going forward. Do not put all of your holdings in crypto or any investments into one type of strategy. Have your pot over here. It is my do not touch, no matter whether the price goes 100x high or whether I drop down. I'm just not going to touch that. And so I'll win with the green days and I'll lose with the red days. It's okay. Then you have
that's a great point.
Yeah, and then you have your get rich pot. And this is where you're going after obscure little altcoins and things that maybe won't make it. But there's a chance that they will. And I'm not going to put a lot of money in that. But if this coin that's currently sitting at 0.0001 makes it to 1 cent someday, and I put $10 into it,
you can make it to 1 cent.
I don't, no. But anyway, I'm going to keep moving on. That's my get rich pot. And I don't have a lot in there, but it's just for, hey, if this happens, cool beans. Then I have my, hey, this is where I'm going to be trading and taking profits and DC it into a pot that's hey, I will take profits from time to time, and I will learn to try to get more supply here. But I have 3 different pots, and I don't mix those pots. And I think too many people think that the best way to get rich is to take all of their money and put it into either the get rich scenario, in which case they lose everything. Some people put it in the never touch it pile, and then they get really disappointed and discouraged when their portfolio drops immensely. And some people take all of it and try to trade it, and some people make some money, and other people end up losing and burning it all. But if you would split yourself between all 3, you're setting yourself up for a successful future, and you're going to set yourself up for education so you can learn with that middle pot, and you can get better and better and better, and it's not affecting your long-term don't touch pot whatsoever. So that's the strategy. Again, plagiarize. I'm plagiarizing it from Mark Yusko. You guys plagiarize it from me. I think that every single person should at least have some form of that type of strategy with their holdings.
Yeah, dude, I love that, right? Because that is risk management. That's what you're talking. That's what you're explaining right there. Is risk management between those 3 different strategies. And it is a very good point that you said earlier too about jumping in and trying to get the star right. It's kind of like you buy this altcoin, it's pumping, right? Then it's like, oh man, I missed the pump, it's dumping. So then another one pumps, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna sell this at a loss, buy into another one that's already pumping, and same scenario again. Then that one starts to dump, and you keep following all these pumps, and all you're doing is just burning and losing money. That happens to a lot of people in the altcoin market. So I completely agree with what you were saying there, man, about having a risk management portfolio where you're doing 3 different things, 3 different types of risk, and you're managing it all very well. CVO, what you got, man?
First off, shout out to the leading crypto ladies in the chat and T-Bone. At least there's a few I've seen there. But it looks like we have the ladies in there today. Big thing right now, that I feel like everybody's feeling is just unnecessary stress due to just being late to either move, late to literally the move going up, or everybody at 18 and 19 and $20,000 for several weeks. It's like it's there, it's not really moving, it's going to keep going lower, I'm just going to keep waiting. And then you get a pump, and then now it's like, oh, is this the bottom is in, and now you got to be frantic and checking all the things that you can think about. There's so many pissing matches out there where everybody's trying to be the person that's saying that they said this, and it's your favorite influencer is saying that, and then I'm saying this instead. You should it's so much like, I don't understand why it's the space in a hole is that way. It's like, instead of being able to just share,
because it gets views, man. It gets views.
I know, but it's like it's crazy though, and I feel like that drives up such franticness across the board. So I guess the only thing I would say is try as much as you can, try to tune out all that stuff. Really just kick back, relax about it. Personally, I think we have time. I think that we're going to see some upside in the short term here, right? So just kind of pay attention, see how things are going. September to me, and I'm not somebody that follows a lot of the CPI news and any of this. I
thought you were gonna say moon cycles.
I do follow that, and my girl Marin said October 20 something. So I'm gonna hold her to that. It's probably gonna be when the market comes out of the low. But no, I just just take it one day at a time, and just kind of really try to formulate what is best for you. Just like Tim said, if there is really no right way to do any investing or trading, and whether you want to admit it or not, anybody that's putting money into a market or buying a house or doing this or that, at the end of the day, you're trading something, because you're going to hold that for X amount of time and you're going to sell it to somebody else, whether you're going to lose money or make money. That's the key, right? So I would just say just kick back on just making sure that you have to get in around the low or this or that, just identify some of the areas that are of value and determine what's best for you, and that's all you can really do.
Dude, 100%. I just want to say, if you guys haven't smashed the likes, if you guys are not following CVO, Magic, TA Tim from CryptoJeb, guys, follow these guys. The links are down below. These guys brought you here an entire hour. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you're here and you're watching these guys is because these guys are bringing you great information. So smash the likes, follow them, and like always, make sure you jump into the Discord, because Danger Close Alpha is minting in 2 days, baby. It's a free mint. Make sure you jump into the Discord. We're having a Twitter space in about 30 minutes, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Danger Close Alpha on Twitter. So make sure you jump into that as well. We're dropping some exclusive information today that's going to make a big shift for the free mint this Saturday. So guys, like always, question everything, trust nothing, and until next time, hodl like it's hot. See you guys.